Thank you for being here. If I missed you, would you please wave if you're an elected official or digger. Chief Cagle, County Judge Hidalgo, I see you. I'm sorry. Your name wasn't on my list, and I apologize. That's on me. I own it. Leadership owns mistakes, and that was my mistake. I'm going to share with you our order of service today. When I sit down after I pray and read the obituary, we're going to hear a song, God Only Knows. And then we are going to hear another song, If Tomorrow Never Comes. Then, speaking in this order, and please follow immediately after the person in front of you, Sheriff Ed Gonzalez will come and give remarks as the department head. There will be Sergeant Mark Schmidt, Harris County Sheriff's Office, Sergeant Eddie Rivera, Harris County Sheriff's Office. Miss Flora Zarzosa Almendarez will also give remarks, and Darren's daughter, Andrea. I'm going to come back up here in just a second, and then we're going to hear God Only Knows here right now, because I'm going to share the obituary and a special poem that one of Darren's teammates wrote, and I think it would be appropriate after we hear this song, and then I'll pray for us.
While the world is sound asleep and too afraid of what might show up while you're dreaming. Nobody sees you. Nobody will believe you. And every day you try to pick up all the pieces, all the memories that somehow never leave you. Nobody sees you. Nobody will believe you. God only knows what you've been through. God only knows what they say about you. God only knows how it's killing you. But there's a kind of love that God only knows. God only knows what you've been through. God only knows what they say about you. But God only knows the real you. There's a kind of love that God only knows. You keep a cover over every single secret, so afraid if someone saw them they would leave. But somebody sees you. Somebody will never leave you. God only knows what you've been through. God only knows what they say about you. God only knows how it's killing you. But there's a kind of love that God only knows. God only knows what you've been through. God only knows what they say about you. But God only knows the real you. There's a kind of love that God only knows. For the lonely, for the ashamed, the misunderstood and the ones to blame. What if we could start over? We could start over. We could start over. Oh, for the lonely, for the ashamed, the misunderstood and the ones to blame. What if we could start over? We could start over. We could start over. 'Cause there's a kind of love that God only knows. God only knows what you've been through. God only knows what they say about you. But God only knows the real you. There's a kind of love that God only knows. God only knows what you've been through. God only knows what they say about you. But God only knows the real you. There's a kind of love that God only knows. who's the real you. There's a kind of love that God only knows.
Deputy Darren Almendarez, 51, a native Houstonian, entered into eternal rest on March 31st, 2022. He was born on August 15, 1970, to Mary Helen Martinez and Abraham Almendarez Sr. Darren graduated from Austin High School and attended Houston Community and San Jacinto College. Darren attended the Harris County Sheriff's Office Peace Officer Academy, Basic Class B199, and graduated in 1999 and later earned his Master Peace Officer certification. Darren had a great 23-year career with the Harris County Sheriff's Office, working as a patrolman in District 3, a field training officer, a certified instructor. He was an investigator for the Multi-Agency Gang Task Force, which included the Federal Bureau of Investigations, and as an Auto Theft Task Force investigator. Darren made the ultimate sacrifice doing the job he loved, serving the citizens of Harris County and protecting his family. Darren once said, "I'm not going to say I'm the best, but I'm dang good at what I do, and I'm proud of it." And he was. He was a great cop. He really was the best. Anyone who ever worked with him would agree with that. Darren would go the extra mile to help a victim get justice or just lend a helping hand to someone in need. In his free time, Darren enjoyed saltwater fishing, traveling, barbecuing, working in his yard, woodworking, and he was a football fan cheering for both Houston Texans and the Dallas Cowboys. He's one of those guys. Darren met Flor in 2010 at an East Aldine District meeting, and they later married. Darren was an avid animal lover who cherished his fur babies as well. Nico, Bambi, Dale, Pipa. That is the right pronunciation, right? It wasn't Pipa, was it? Did Pipa? Okay, I'll make sure. Stella and Petunia. That was probably a pit bull. I mean, what other dog are you going to name Petunia? I'm just teasing. It's good that we laugh, y'all. It's good. Laughter doeth the heart good like a medicine, okay? It's good for us to laugh. Darren is preceded in death by his father, Abraham Almendarez Sr., his brother, Abraham Almendarez Jr., and two rainbow babies, one lovingly named Nicholas. Those left to cherish his memory are his wife of 8 years, Flor M. Zarzosa Almendarez, daughters Andrea Almendarez and Kayla Rios, son Danny Rios, mother Mary Helen Martinez, 5 sisters, 3 brothers, numerous nephews and nieces, numerous extended family members, and of course, his brothers and sisters in blue. And I want to do something. Flor and kids, I want y'all to stand up. Stand up. Turn around, and I want you to look at the sea of witnesses that are here to honor your dad and your husband today. This is how much your daddy and your husband meant to us. And we're here to honor you in his memory. Thank you. I'm going to share a poem with you. And then we're going to hear If Tomorrow Never Comes. Great song. Love that song. And then immediately after that, Sheriff, if you would come. And once again, Sheriff Mark Smith and Sergeant Eddie Rivera immediately after Sheriff. And then Flor and Andrea immediately after the 2 sergeants. Manny Martinez shared this with me this morning. He said he's been working on it for many, many years. He is a combat veteran, and he is also one of our fellow brothers here at the Harris County Sheriff's Office. The title of this poem is A True Warrior. A true warrior is chosen by God, for he knows the true potential of the warrior. A true warrior will always put the safety of his people above his own. A true warrior uses brute force only as a last resort. A true warrior seeks justice first over vengeance. A true warrior does not choose the battle chooses him. A true warrior protects all who seek his protection, no matter the creed, religion, or race. A true warrior is a mentor, generous with knowledge and time. A true warrior does not seek glory, he shuns it. A true warrior measures himself by the company he keeps. A true warrior does not fear death, for he knows God is with him. A true warrior knows when to stop the fighting and start healing with those he fought against. A true warrior will follow as well as he leads. A true warrior seeks peace, peace for his country, peace for his people, peace for his family, peace with God, but above all, seeks peace with himself. Author Manuel Martinez IV, United States Marine Corps, United States Army, Texas peace officer. Father, thank you for this day. Thank you for your presence here that we feel. Thank you for the comfort that you bring through the person of your Son, Jesus, and the power of the Holy Spirit. We ask you, Father, to encamp your angels around this sanctuary right now and minister through the power and person of Christ the Lord, and that the Holy Spirit himself would whisper in each of our ears, I will never leave you, I will never forsake you. And Darren is, in fact, at peace. It is in the name of Christ that I pray, and God's people said, amen.
Yes. Sometimes late at night, I lie awake and watch her sleeping. She's lost in peaceful dreams, so I turn out the lights and lay there in the dark. And the thought crosses my mind, if I never wake up in the morning, would she ever doubt the way I feel about her in my heart? If tomorrow never comes, will she know how much I loved her? Did I try in every way to show her every day that she's my only one? And if my time on earth were through, she must face this world without me. Is the love I gave her in the past gonna be enough to last if tomorrow never comes? 'Cause I've lost loved ones in my life who never knew how much I loved them. And now I live with the regret that my true feelings for them never were revealed. So I made a promise to myself to say each day how much she means to me, and avoid that circumstance where there's no second chance to tell her how I feel. 'Cause if tomorrow never comes, will she know how much I loved her? Did I try in every way to show her every day that she's my only one? If my time on earth were through, she must face this world without me. Is the love I gave her in the past gonna be enough to last if tomorrow never comes? Hey. So tell that someone that you love just what you're thinking of. if tomorrow never comes.
Darth Brooks.
Been lazy.
I come before you with a broken heart as we honor the life of a great man and a great deputy. Deputy Darren Almendarez was a hero who gave his last breath in service to his community. We must do better. We cannot allow these assaults on our law enforcement to continue. We understand that bad things happen to good people, but it shouldn't happen to officers who do all the right things while protecting their community. Darren made the ultimate sacrifice, and my heart breaks for his grieving family. Darren made that ultimate sacrifice because that's what he believed in. To his wife, Flor, daughters, Andrea and Kayla, son, Danny, mother, Mary Helen, brother, Steve, and the other brothers and sisters, and all the extended family that are gathered here today. On behalf of the Harris County Sheriff's Office and all the law enforcement agencies that are represented here, our deepest condolences go out to all of you. There are no words capable of providing sufficient comfort. All we can do is pledge our undying support and promise to be by your side from this moment forward. I know there are no words that can ease the pain that we all feel or that can fill the void that this tragedy has left behind. As we take him to rest today, I would ask that you remember this true hero, not for how he lost his life, but for how he lived it. And the real tribute doesn't come from the words that you're going to hear today. Several of us have the unique privilege of being up here to share a little bit of our remembrances of him, our memories, how we knew Darren. But the real tribute comes from all the people that are gathered here today in their sanctuary to pay their respects. That's the tribute, not in the words, but in the tribute to Darren as a man, a tribute to Darren as a deputy. People to come together to pay their respects. And so the turnout here today is not only a tribute to his service in our community, but an acknowledgement of the amazing individual that Darren was, because he sure was. And while many are here today and the sanctuary is full, there's many that couldn't be here today. And I want you to know that that community supports you and the family, loved and supported Darren as well. Because when a police officer dies in the line of duty, an entire community pauses in sorrow. And so there's many people that have expressed their heartfelt condolences. When we pause and think of Darren's professional life, I think it's important to look at it from two ends of the spectrum. Because I think that one thing that exemplified Darren his entire life was his grit, his determination, his love for serving others, his love for teaching, and his love for continuing to learn. That is always evident. One of his first jobs, or his first job, I believe, he was only about 15 years old. And it was at a Whataburger in the East End on Harrisburg. I remember the place because that's my first patrol beat when I worked 11 District, HPD Magnolia Station. And I met someone that had the opportunity to work with Darren back then. And I told him, well, what was Darren like? What do you remember? He goes, he was incredibly smart, even at 15, incredibly smart, very independent, Steve, very independent. He liked to learn. He liked to teach. He liked to teach. I remember that. He goes, in fact, I remember he taught me one thing that I still remember to this day. And I said, what was it? And he goes, I remember he told me, man, if you wrap one of those pickles around one of the French fries, it's to die for. I haven't tried it yet, but I intend to next time I go to Whataburger. But, you know, they worked together, and they kind of lost track of each other. They each went on their separate paths, and, you know, as sometimes the future works out in mysterious ways, that individual is now one of our investigators. They both ended up being Harris County Sheriff's deputies. Investigator Frankie Prado is now one of our investigators in our violent crimes unit and does phenomenal work. And he's been involved here lately because Darren touched him in so many ways. And he said that same determination and tenacity and the way he was, just it was infectious and lasted him throughout his life. So thank you, Frankie, wherever you're at, thank you for sharing that with us. But he had that grit and determination. He wanted to keep pushing himself, doing better. And that's something that he believed in. He wanted to keep growing and learning. On the second part of his professional career, I believe he also worked at Metro Bank on Capitol Street, I believe. So he kept doing other things, again, continuing to grow. But eventually he would find his true calling, and Darren was a great cop. Law enforcement was made for Darren, and he was made for this career. Darren loved being a deputy, and he took pride in serving his community, and he took his job very seriously. He distinguished himself as a stellar deputy and investigator through his performance. Everywhere he worked, whether it be anti-gang operations with the task force, whether it be being a field trainer in District 3 in the east part of Harris County, he always gave it his best. He liked teaching people. That's why I think he was an FTO. And he did phenomenal work everywhere, even through visiting his desk recently. I saw his reading glasses there, the cases he was working on. He was still giving it his all and breaking down those crews, those chop shop crews in East Harris County and everywhere, just really being a phenomenal investigator. And when he went to auto theft and they interviewed him, he just blew everybody away with his knowledge, with his smarts. And very soon he was teaching other people how to do the job, how to do the work. And again, a testament to being a lifelong learner and being a teacher. And that's something that he always did. He was definitely a shining star for the Harris County Sheriff's Office. Now, he was a remarkable man, and he did many things wonderful, but not everybody's perfect. And there were a few things that weren't his strong suits. One thing was his Spanish. His Spanish was not very good. Flor, we talked a bit about that. And Montes was sharing a story. One of his best friends was telling me a story that they were on a patrol and that they had to translate and so, sure enough, he started trying to translate. Darren started trying to translate, and the guy was just listening and staring at Darren, and so was Montes. And then after about a 5-minute dialogue, the person they were interviewing kind of turns to Montes and says, ¿Qué dijo? What did he say? And Montes, who speaks Spanish, said, I don't even know what he said. And here recently, they were reminiscing that he had a witness or someone on intercom, and he was talking to them at the office. They're kind of desk mates. They sat next to each other. And he had someone in speaker, and he reached out trying to help a victim of a crime. And he was, again, say, Señora, soy el investigador, Almendarez. He started going on through his skill. And after, it was just silence. And after about a few minutes, the female person on the other line says, can you just tell me in English? But again, Darren was a remarkable man, whether it be fishing. He also liked to barbecue. We're always having barbecues. He, again, had this thirst for knowledge and wanting to improve. And I was talking to someone that got to spend a little bit of time with him here recently. I believe Darren was working the rodeo, Flor, and he spent some time working that. And the deputy was on mounted and had her horse, and she noticed that Darren kept staring and looking at the horse and says, hey, you haven't seen a horse? What's going on? He goes, no. He he goes, I planted some trees or something. And Flo, you're smiling because I think you know what I'm talking about. I don't know if it was lemons or limes or something. And he goes, I used some horse manure. And it grew some big lemons or limes. So was it, Flo? Lemons or lemons. And he was just astounded. And ever since then, he was fixated on getting more horse manure because he wanted to keep growing them. And on that particular day, just wasn't his day because the deputy said the horse was just wasn't pooping. And sure enough, though, they saw an HPD mounted officer, and they said, hey, can you come here? He goes, hey man, can you help out this, my fellow deputy over here? He's looking for some horse manure because, he really wants some for his garden, and he was really, focused on that. And the guy says, and Chief Finner, you'll appreciate that. He goes, and the HPD officer said, hey, buddy, don't worry about it. Just go to our stables over in Northeast Harris County. We'll give you all the horse manure you want, man. So it was close to the house. So I know that was something he was interested in doing. But again, just that inquisitive mind of saying, how can I perfect this? How can it be? How can I do more? But, true to self and true to form, even during that job for a brief moment there, he was still filing some charges on a criminal that he was pursuing to protect the community. He took a quick break just to file those charges and get him sent because he was still doing his work, even when he loved working. He loved working. And Steve, sometimes I know you said he had to kind of turn it down a little bit, because he was like, hey, just relax a little bit because he was so passionate and intense about it. But it's very hard to say goodbye, and we don't want to. But we need to remember that Darren touched so many lives, so positively. And so he will live in our hearts, minds, and actions of us all. He leaves an amazing legacy behind. Darren left this world a better place than it was before he found it. And for that, we will always be grateful. He is gone from us today, but his life and service will never be forgotten. Darren touched so many people, and even though his courageous act took him physically, his legacy will live on forever. For those law enforcement officers that continue to serve, I know this is a difficult moment for all of you as well. I know that there's a lot of unanswered questions. I know it's difficult. I know it's difficult when we pause and we reflect. We give it our all. Is this how it ends? Is this how it ends? I know there's frustration sometimes with the criminal justice system, some of the outcomes, that sometimes it just doesn't seem that all the hard work really paid off. Did we really make a difference? Well, you do make a difference. Darren made a difference. And the way we continue to honor Darren is by doing what he loved to do, is suiting up, putting on that badge, going out and serving and protecting the community. That was in his DNA. That's what he did. And that's what you do. That's why we signed up to do what we do. Because we know that at the end of the day, a community depends on us, depends on you. We know that at the end of the day, you care for the welfare of others. That's how Darren was. That's how he was built. And that's how we honor him. We honor him by marching on. We honor him by going forward. We honor him by continuing to be exemplary. We honor him by living up to the ideals that he exemplified for us, by being the best of the best, because that's what Darren was. Many people come into this profession and do good work, but there's some that are a cut above, and that was Darren. That was Darren. There's just some that just come and just perform at a higher level. And so I encourage all of you, myself included, is let's do better. Let's continue to strengthen our resolve, to go out there and be that thin line between those that are good and those that are out there harming others. Because that's our calling and that's what we do. Darren leaves a huge void in our agency, and that's something that will never be filled long after we're gone. His legacy will be here. We are always going to remember him. We're always going to honor him. It's a solemn pledge that we all take to make sure that we're honoring the best among us. And we're going to continue to honor Darren because that's what we do for our fallen. Our community will continue to remember Darren as well. And in closing, I leave you with the words of Dorothy Ferguson. Only a moment you stayed, but what an imprint you've left in our hearts. Rest easy, my friend. You served us well. Now it's our turn. We'll take it from here.
Thank you, Sheriff. As Sergeant Smith and Sergeant Rivera are making their way up here, I wanted to share a story with you from that night that Darren was taken from us. I'm not going to call this young lady out by name or ask her to stand, but there was witnessed on that evening an act of what I consider to be valor by a member of our community. A young lady who was working at Jovi's that evening saw the incident go down and went to Darren and took her apron off and put pressure on his wound to try and save his life. She wasn't like a lot of the other people in our culture and our community today, who the first thing that they pull out is a cell phone to record the images that they see so they can get their 5 minutes of glory on YouTube or Snapchat. She stepped up. She tried to serve. And for that, I honor her, and so will the Lord. Mark, Eddie, y'all come on up.
Good afternoon. What a tribute to an awesome officer. Thank you all. I'm Sergeant Mark Schmidt, of course, with the Harris County Sheriff's Office. Been here for a couple of years, and standing next to me, his current supervisor, Sergeant Rivera. So a little, if I falter, I apologize right now, because we were close. I met Darren in 2009. At that time, the Sheriff's Office was forming a new gang unit, and I was blessed with being one of the 2 sergeants to start that group. I was given the opportunity to have 4 investigators, 1 from each district. Back then we had 4 districts. And Darren came to us from District 1, just reading all his cases, his reports. He stood above all from the get-go before he even came to us. When I met with him for the first time, he was very well-spoken, very professional. The guy just wanted to do the right thing, do the job, and put bad guys in jail. Darren had also been in the Honor Guard at that point. What an awesome way to pay tribute. And he had been, as the sheriff said, an FTO. So with the new side of this gang unit, our side, at that point he was plain clothes, and that rocked for about a year. And then at one point, about a year later, we got moved to a different bureau. And Darren ended up being back in uniform, being the proactive for our part of the group. And he always did an awesome job at it. He never complained about having to be back in uniform. He was totally good with it. He was heavily involved in doing a lot of traffic stops, a lot of enforcement for all of the agencies at the Texas Anti-Gang Center for several years. On occasion, we'd have a money seizure. And this is where I learned about, the sheriff mentioned the bank. So here we are with this large amount of money stacked up, and watching this guy just, like that machine at the bank, It's like, what is the deal? Oh, Sarge, I never told you I used to work at a bank. Oh, okay. And the thing was, his counts were always right. Moving forward, we, hey, all agencies suffer this, so I'm not getting down on Harris County. Occasionally, we'd have computer or IT issues. And it became apparent he was very skilled at that, too. You ready for it? Yeah, okay. Darren, where'd you learn how to do that? Oh, I was the IT guy at the bank, too. I don't think there was anything electronic that scared this man. He was even our resident Celebrate operator at the Texas Anti-Gang Center. Obviously, as much time as we spent together, there was conversation. Why did you come to the sheriff's office, Darren? And he said as long as he could remember, he wanted to be a police officer, to do the right thing and to help people. And it was very evident, as Sheriff touched on, this wasn't just a job, it was a calling. Darren is one who we refer to as a cop's cop. He never backed away from work, and if a particular case needed more time, he took the time. He always wanted to train to be better, and if someone was in need of help, he was always there, and he would help train them. He always went above and beyond, and if you wore a badge, you were not a stranger. You were a brother. I can appreciate as a supervisor, and I'm sure many of the supervisors here today can appreciate this too, if he wasn't sure of how something should work, he was not shy about coming to ask for advice. We lost him from our group in about August of 18. There had been an opening on the FBI side in the multi-agency gang task force. And it was obvious he was the right one to fill that position. And so he was stolen from my group, by then Sergeant Shields' group, and he went over. That's how he ended up over on the FBI side. The good thing was he was still there at the tag, so we saw him on a daily basis, and we still had the occasion to work with him. I think, as I have Sergeant Rivera standing here next to me, he'll agree with me that Darren's dedication and never quit attitude was inspiring in his unit. I also, during the time that we worked together, learned that he was a bit of a connoisseur when it came to restaurants. If we were on the tag side, the tag center side of town, it was Papa Gino's for lunch. If you've never been to Papa Gino's, yeah, well, you got to experience it. It's about 3 days worth of calories. Yeah. And if we were on the east side, Champ Burger over on Sampson. Who knew? And going there for lunch, that's where I learned. He filled me in. Hey, Sarge, this is my home area. Darren was always there to help his community. If someone was there that was out there that needed assistance, he was there for them as well. I literally, while we worked together, had seen him feed homeless people during our Sarge, run through Whataburger, let's feed this guy. His willingness to step up didn't stop there, and it was also evident in his off-duty time. During Hurricane Harvey, one of our team members' homes was severely flooded, and he was there to lead the charge to help on the tear down and the cleanup, knocking out sheetrock and pulling nails. He was a very skilled do-it-yourselfer, from auto repair to home renovation projects. And I think the sheriff mentioned he liked to cook on the grill. I think we've seen enough photos today, we know he liked to fish. On the subject of fishing, I have got to mention this photo. I tried to find it, but we haven't been able to find it yet. For years, there was a photo that hung at his desk. It was a photo of him and Andrea and a fish. The fish was huge. At that point, Andrea, I think, may have been about 3, and the fish was about as tall as Andrea. Darren's laughing in this photo. Andrea is crying. And I was like, Darren, what did you do to your daughter? Sorry, she was saying, Daddy stole my fish. Andrea, I cannot tell you how much he loved you. I'm sorry. We had so many conversations about you, and he loved you so much. You were his world. Sorry, guys. Floor, he had told me way back that he wanted to marry you, and there was no doubt that he absolutely loved and adored you and wanted to blend your families. And so this led to another, Sarge, what do I do? Sarge, how do I be a good stepdad for Flora's son and daughter? And he asked me this because he knows I'm a stepdad. So there were many conversations on that topic. It was just very important to Darren. He wanted to be the best for y'all and be there for y'all, and wanted your families to blend and be complete. Andrea, Danny, Kayla, you've already seen all these officers in this room. If you don't know what godparents are, today, all of these officers in this room are your godparents. And we are here to watch out and help you however we may. And to Darren's entire family, we're here to support, encourage, and hurt and pray with you, because we're hurting. We know we don't hurt in the same way or as much, but we're there. And I'm going to close with this. In this profession, we are sometimes referred to as the sheepdogs. We defend the sheep, the innocent, the weak, and those who cannot defend themselves from evil. We have lost one of the county's, if not the state's, bravest sheepdogs. He's been a true defender as well as a very close friend. We, along with Darren, are that thin blue line who stand between the law-abiding and the evil, and we must honorably carry on for him. To the criminal justice system and the law-abiding citizens of Harris County, we ask and pray, please do not allow Darren and his family's ultimate sacrifice to be in vain. Brother, you will always be appreciated, remembered, honored, and missed. Rest in peace, Darren.
My name is Sergeant Eddie Rivera. Before you stands one of the luckiest supervisors. I had the pleasure of working with Darren for the last 2 years. He was part of a tremendous group. I'd like to acknowledge auto theft. If you would please stand up. So I had the pleasure of working with Darren in District 3 as I was a supervisor out there for about 8 years. And on and off, I'd seen him running with Sergeant Schmidt and the rest of his guys. And when I transferred over to auto theft, we had interviews, and I saw his name as being interviewed. Never having interviewed him for anything else. Having sat on a couple of interview boards myself. Darren comes in. Questions were asked, questions were answered, and then some. And they weren't scripted. It wasn't as if he memorized the answer from the penal code or what have you. I mean, he really knew what he was talking about. At the end of the interview, we give the candidates approximately 5 minutes to tell us a little bit about themselves. And here we go. He rattled on this and that, and then he pulled out a folder that he had on his side and said, these are all the schools I've gone to, 1 page, 2 page, 3 page. These are all the programs I'm proficient in, this and that. Me sending a text is as far as I go IT-wise, but this guy was, wow. He stands up, he shakes our hands, and he walks out the door. And I looked at Sergeant Stamper and Lieutenant Sandy Chapa and said, I recall saying, is there any question? I mean, wow, mind's blown. Darren came to work with the rest of the guys out there with me on the east side. And the collaboration that went into that office on a daily basis, both professional and, you know, on the side, you know, stuff over the weekend and stuff like that. Just, I mean, it was a well-oiled machine. You know, in the sheriff's office, we wear a patch, and on that patch it says the pride of Texas. And Darren exemplified that every single day. I'm going to miss him. As I would come in the office every day, and he'd be talking to Miss Dolly, drinking coffee, and he would just say, hey, Sargento. Hey, Darren. How's your day? How's your weekend? And this and that. And then here we go. You know, the sheriff mentioned about the chop shops. If any of you have ever been or seen a chop shop, I mean, it's a mess. I mean, these guys, these crooks, they tear it up. And it's our job in auto theft to put those pieces together and to find out whose vehicles they were and try to let them know if it's theirs. And like the rest of the guys, Darren just, hey, let's go. If it was muddy, he'd put on his rubber boots, his infamous rubber boots. He carried those things everywhere. And he'd get to it, man. He wouldn't leave until everything was done. And sometimes he'd call me, and I thought work was over already, but he'd just come up with something else and something else. And this all came, one of the biggest cases that I've been involved with, and we have, was this organized crime ring that was responsible for, at last count, 5 to 6 chop shops. And he took that thing on, and he took it on full for it. In the Army, we had a saying for these individuals, they're hard chargers, and that's what Darren is hard charger. So in closing, Darren, your sargento's going to miss you. Thank you very much.
This time we're going to have Floor and Andrea come up, and Dr. Svell is going to help them up the steps. She has requested that the pallbearers come to the platform and stand behind her and Andrea as a show of support. Hey, Eddie, it's a good thing in that packet that Darren submitted that he didn't say that he was fluent in Spanish, based on what we've heard so far. Good words, man, good words. Come on up, ladies.
I wrote something down, but I don't think I will need this. I asked these guys to be up here. I know Chris is down there, and Santos. All these guys up here with Darren's brothers. Steve, I thank you for letting me borrow Darren. I know you guys have some crazy stories. And he loved you very much. Daniel, Richard, Javi, you guys were his brothers. I think there was not one day you guys kept in touch. And he shares so many stories with me about you guys. Sad, funny, crazy stories. And I appreciate all of you guys for being in Darren's life, because you guys meant so much to him. So much. I know, Steve, I was referred to you as his little brother. I love my little brother. You know, he had your back. And I know the last time we went out to dinner, he told me, I know Daniel, Richard, Javi, Chris, they have my back. They will always have my back. He loved all of us. Right now, to me, this is just like a dream. I still can't get those ugly images out of my head. As much as I fight it to keep thinking and having good thoughts and good memories, because we have so many, I just can't. I can't, and I don't know when I will be able to forget that night. I wrote this letter. I wrote something for Darren. And it's not just, I just wrote it out there. Didn't check spelling or anything. It says, to my love, this is unreal. I cannot begin or even think how to process this nightmare. I miss you so very much, my love. As I sit here in our room, I'm in bed, for the first time since this nightmare, thinking and reading all of your cards and letters you wrote me, I can't help but to cry and want to feel your arms around me so much, my love. Babe, I miss you terribly. I can hear your voice whispering to me how much you love me. And I can't help it, but I want you back by my side. Babe, I miss you so much. I miss you so much, and I love you. Our last conversations in Galveston about our wedding, they never happened. You asked me what I loved about our relationship, and I said every good or bad, because all of that has made this relationship so strong. He said to me, babe, and that's why I'm so in love with you, because the way you loved me, you always said to me, Darren, I never had a home. I never owned a home. I never had a home. I never had a real family. You're my home. You are my family. You and the kids are my family. You are my family to me and Andrea. You always apologize for not knowing how to act or how to handle situations. You said to me, I'm sorry. I just never had this kind of love. Now my job is to love you, be your protector. You said, and got upset sometimes because I didn't ask you for anything. I never asked Aaron for anything, nothing whatsoever. You always wanted to provide me with even the smallest detail. And I love that about you. Our dates, movie dates on Tuesdays, our fishing trips, when we didn't even catch anything, and when you overpacked for our trips. I love all these things about you. Physically, I know you are not here, but I want you here. I need you here. I just want to wake up from this bad dream. Your last words to me were, wait right here, babe, coming out of the store, and then you disappear on me. Then you said to me, run, babe. And I couldn't turn away from you. I walked away. Your next words were, call 911, babe. I ran to you. And your next words to me were, I love you, babe. I can't breathe. I am so glad I held him one last time. I love you so much, and you will continue to protect us, my love. I know how much you loved us and your family. I know how much you loved Andrea, the kids, our kids, and all of our pets. Now, as you rest in peace, side by side with our two babies, may you always protect each other, hold each other. Give each one of them a kiss for me and tell them how much we love them and how we waited and longed for their arrival. I love you so much until we meet again. And thank you, everyone that's here, every one of you. He always had a story. Every day he had a story. And he will say names. And now as I meet people around, they come up to me. I have a face for every story. And I appreciate you guys being in Darren's life, those who knew Darren. Because he was a funny guy, sometimes sarcastic. He always thought he was bilingual. And I am so sorry to say this, but he was a fraud to the county. Because he would cheat. And I always told him, you're just a fraud. My taxpayer money is going, you're wasting it. You're just, a fraud. He will call me before his test to ask me how to say mustache. And he didn't know how. He didn't know how to say firearms. He thought it was a cohete. He thought it was, and that's a firecracker. So we have so many memories. He shares so many memories. He took good care of my kids. He's always there. He was always there for my kids. He was always there for the community. My neighbors, the neighbors, everyone. Those who knew Darren, really, if he saw you needed anything, Darren was there to get you, to have your back. Fix it, buy it however he could. The last one one of the stories that I remember was one of his deputy retired friends, so he's disabled. I don't remember the name.
Clark.
Wheelchair?
Clark from District 1, yeah.
He was in need of a wheelchair. He looked, and I was looking on the phone. I was like, what are you looking for? He goes, I need to buy him a wheelchair. So I started looking on Amazon, and he goes, no, not that kind. So he wanted this very specific kind. So he found this lady far away. I don't know, I think it was in Hockley or Tomball. This lady had a brand new electric wheelchair, $400. So that day he comes home, he goes, babe, let's go get this wheelchair. We drove to Tomball. He was so proud, and he was so happy. We went and picked it up, and that night, it was Darren, Andrea, and me, we went and dropped it off. This man was so happy to have his wheelchair. And Darren was just a very giving person. Even if you didn't have to ask him, even if he heard you mention something that you like, believe me, he'll get it. But believe me, this is so hard. I don't wish this upon anybody. Nobody. I don't eat. I think since Thursday, I think I've had like 6 hours of sleep. The most. And I sit there and I try to eat, and I can't eat because he's not eating. He loves food. And I can hear him just looking at me and wondering that he wanted his steak. But really, he was a good person. He truly was a good person. Love you, babe.
I just wanted to share some memories that I had with my dad. So we all know that he was afraid of heights. He was so afraid that one time we went to the carnival to get on the Ferris wheel, he wouldn't go with me, so he made me go with a stranger. Another memory that I have of him is when we were living in the apartments, he would love to play soccer with me, even if it was just a paper ball that we rolled up on the floor. Even though I would always win, he would still play in the hallways. And sorry, I forgot where I was at. My last memory was that when I was, this was really funny. When I was mad one time, I went outside and started walking around, and I was just, those bars that swing open and close to park the cars, well, I pushed it, and it came right back at me, and I flipped over it. And I went inside, and I was crying to my dad, and he just started laughing at me. So those are the memories that I have of my dad, but I'm glad I got to spend 14 years of my life as a daddy's girl, and that's all I got to say.
What a high honor to stand before you. Flora, thank you for trusting me. Mom, God bless you in your heart. My prayer this morning It said, may the words of my mouth, the meditations of my heart be pleasing unto you, O God, my rock and my fortress. I stand before you. I cry as a friend and a brother. I rejoice and am thankful as a Christian because of Darren's profession of faith. When he closed his eyes on the world the other day, he opened his eyes in a place called glory, in a place called heaven. That's our future hope. I stand before you as a minister to bring a word of comfort and a word of peace in a time and in a way only that our Creator can. So many times in life I stand and look at the sky and say, who am I that He's mindful of me? That's a song and a term, but really when you think about it, for any of us, who are we that He's mindful of us? The Creator of the universe that spoke it into existence cares for us as individuals, more especially when we're broken, more especially when the tears come down our face. The Creator of all that we know and see reaches right into our life and He's as close as our next thought to us. And I'm so thankful for that. As we gather to remember, Darren was different things to different people. So eloquently described over these last few minutes. But no matter the nature of our relationship with him, we're careful to give God praise and glory for having opportunity to walk this road called life with him. How many people have come and said over and over and over in the law enforcement community, in the community at large, in his family, in jobs that he's had, the impact that he's had. I'm even caused to remember his involvement with the Houston Livestock Show and Rodeo since 2010. There's a big group here. That was an extra job. But there's a big group here that life was impacted because he made a difference. The vice president of the rodeo wrote a letter expressing his sorrow and his gratitude for Darren, who worked in the outskirts of the rodeo, directing traffic and keeping people safe. But he made an impact. He made an impact, and for that we are grateful. The Reverend Billy Graham said after the Oklahoma City bombing, when tragedies like this happen, one of two things that we can do. We can either turn our heart cold and angry at God, or we can become tender and receive his mercy. My prayer is that you would allow him to fill the void that's been created in your heart and in your mind. In a service much like this, for Deputy Darren Goforth, Dr. Young described our job assignment as deliver us from evil. So to my Blue family, that job assignment certainly has not changed. What you do and how you do it, what a high calling that you have, that you look in the face of evil in a variety of ways, in incredible sorrow and heartbreak, but you show up. And for that, we're grateful and we thank you that you continue to deliver us from evil. Darren could have easily avoided that situation, went on about his business, turned it over, called it in, had the patrol units come. He was called to this, to make an impact and to make a difference. You know, we gather and we don't gather to have answers to all the questions that we'll really never understand. But the big question that we have, and everybody has in times like this, is that question, why? We struggle with that over and over and over. Why? But folks, I'm here to tell you that we're finite people dealing with an infinite God. And I resolved this fact many years ago that this is his word, and it's true from cover to cover. And that word tells me that he loves me, that he'll never leave me, he'll never forsake me, he'll deliver me, He is my Redeemer, my salvation. He mends the broken heart. Again, that's my prayer for you today, that you receive that for which he has for you. So I want to share with you from Psalm 34:18. It says, the Lord is near to the brokenhearted. He saves those who are crushed in spirit. An author and biblical counselor, Dr. Robert Kellerman, wrote, we live in a fallen world that often falls on us. When it does, when the weight of the world crushes us and squeezes the life out of us, we need hope. Each of us have countless experiences of the fallen world falling on us. Some may even be small, some may be large, some may be extremely tragic. But when the fallen world falls on us, we absolutely have hope. This verse offers two reasons to take hope in times of trial and tragedy. First, we are promised that our Heavenly Father is near to the brokenhearted. The Creator is near to you and to your broken heart. When the fallen world falls on us, it often leaves us feeling very alone. In times of immense hurt and pain, it's easy to feel like no one else sees and no one else knows, no one else understands what we're facing and how we're hurting. Even in the most supportive of family and friends, we can't be there 24/7, 365. The pain is then compounded by the sense of aloneness that comes with it. God speaks in those moments that he is near to the brokenhearted. He sees, he knows, he cares, and he does not forget. What a comfort and hope we have in knowing our Heavenly Father is near to us in our brokenness. He does not leave us alone. He's not unaware or he's not carefree. He's not standoffish. But he's acquainted with our feelings of infirmities. He is near and he tells us so that we can find hope in him. Second, the verse promises that God saves those who are crushed in spirit. God may save us by comforting us in all our troubles, according to Corinthians, by delivering us from the peril we face, also in Corinthians, by inwardly renewing us and reminding us of an eternity to come, or by making his grace absolutely sufficient for all of us. Regardless of how God specifically acts to save us, we are assured that even in our great affliction, his mercies are new to us every morning, and his faithfulness is great. Ultimately, we know that God will save his people in the new heaven and in the new earth. He'll wipe away all the tears from their eyes, and there will no longer be any death, no longer be any mourning or crying or pain, for the first order of things will have passed away. So our hope comes before and because of that future that we have. When we're all gathered around the throne room together, because of that profession of faith, and I encourage you folks, don't leave this place if you haven't settled and you haven't done that business with God through his Son, Jesus Christ. The simplicity of the gospel message, I believe in my heart and I confess with my mouth that Jesus is Lord. Then heaven is our home, and that Darren is there waiting for us, and that we're reunited again around the throne forever and forever and forever. As we're in this Easter season, coming up on Good Friday, that first Good Friday, there was a group of people called Jesus' disciples and his friends who were crushed in spirit, who were heartbroken and had more answers than they had, or had more questions than they had answers, and they didn't understand. They didn't understand because they thought that kingdom was going to be set up here on earth and all was going to be well. They didn't understand why their friend, the man who they had followed, was suddenly being beaten and crucified. And then they watched him die. That was Friday. But I love that poem. There's one that's out there that said, it may seem like Friday, but Sunday's on the way. This may seem like your Friday, but Sunday is on the way, because on that Sunday morning, that stone was rolled away and Jesus came forth, conquering death, hell, and the grave. And that's the hope that we have. That's the power that we have. That same power that raised Christ from the dead is alive and well in us today to heal our hearts, to heal our crushed spirits. He's only as far away as our next thought. Darren honored us by the manner in which he lived his life, the manner in which he served his community, and the manner in which he loved his family. And we're just called to remember. Not to remember the things that he did, but to remember him. Our faith tells us that he's in the presence of the Almighty, but how does Darren continue to live within us? Because we continue to tell his story. The law enforcement community says we will never forget. Brother, we've got it from here. We'll never forget. We'll never forget. Well, I stand and publicly say we will never forget, that we will continue to tell Darren's story. We will never forget him, nor the last time we saw him. You see, the other night, he slipped the bonds of this earth to touch the very face of God. How do we respond as a community? 2 Chronicles 7:14 is a good way to start, Mom. If my people who are called by name will humble themselves and turn from their wicked ways, seek my face, then God says he'll hear from heaven and he'll heal their land. Folks, we need healing. This family needs healing in their hearts and in their minds. This community needs healing. This nation and this world needs healing. So I'm asking that you commit to that you seek his face, that we humble ourselves, that we ask for his forgiveness, and allow our Creator to heal our land. God bless you today.
If I had only known it was the last walk in the rain, I'd keep you out for hours in the storm. I would hold your hand like a lifeline to my heart. Underneath the thunder we'd be warm. If I had only known it was our last walk in the rain. If I had only known I'd never hear your voice again, I'd memorize each thing you ever said. And on those lonely nights, I could think of them once more and keep your words alive inside my head. If I had only known I'd never hear your voice again. You were the treasure in my hand. You were the one who always stood beside me. So unaware, I foolishly believed that you would always be there. But then there came a day and I turned my head and you slipped away. If I had only known it was my last night by your side, I'd pray a miracle to stop the dawn. And when you smiled at me, I would look into your eyes and make sure you know my love for you goes on. had only known, if I had only known, oh, the love I would have shown, if I had only known.
Before I give our dismissal orders, because we do not know, my encouragement to you also as a minister of the gospel of Christ is to leave no stone unturned when it comes to loving one another. To love those in your life well and intentionally. To be purposeful in showing, not just saying it, but showing it. Would you indulge this preacher and with sincere love from your heart, would you look to the person sitting next to you, whether you are a part of their family or not, and as a member of the human family created in the image and likeness of God, whom I believe Christ died for, would you just look at the other person sitting next to you and tell them, I love you, neighbor? Would you do that? We need more love in this world. Can I get an amen? Amen. All right, we're going to follow a specific dismissal order, and we need to do so smartly, but in good order. So the first that I'm going to dismiss is going to be auto theft and tag. Would you please stand? You're going to go out those double doors right there and follow the leading of our honor guard. By the way, I heard some phones ringing after I told y'all twice not to. Would you, street cops who are local, county, city, or state, show them feds how to turn their phones off, please? Just a little dig, just a little dig. Harris County Sheriff's Office captains, would you please stand wherever you are and exit out those double doors right there. Make your way to our honor guard commander so they can form you up. Visiting honor guards, they should all be up there. Would you please stand? Make your way out the double doors in the balcony. Find your way down, and they'll form you up outside. Command staff and dignitaries, stand fast. All uniformed officers up there and uniformed officers who are non-command staff or dignitaries, please go ahead and stand. Make your way out as well through the balcony doors up there. If there's families seated in the overflow, y'all can go ahead and start making your way down here, because we're going to let y'all file out the double doors on the floor level. Any family that was in the overflow, make your way down here, please. And while we are waiting for the uniforms and everybody to get outside, if any of our people who have the need to do so and it cannot wait, make your way to the facilities before we go outside for final honors. If you need to do that, but do it very quickly if you need to do that. Please be speedy. Command staff and dignitaries, please rise. make your way out those double doors, and honor guard will form you up outside. And then other than my extended families, any civilian personnel up
for your 23 years of service and dedication to the citizens of Harris County. You are remembered as a virtuous brother who was compassionate, generous, and dedicated. You will forever be remembered as a family man and a brother in blue. Your brothers and sisters in blue have the watch from here. Deputy Darren Almendarez, unit 61 out of 15, shooting at me, sir. May you rest in peace. Your memory will live on forever. Blessed are the peacemakers, for they shall be called the children of God. End of watch, March 31st, 2026.